Hi BookTube, this is Juan from Just One Reader. Welcome back to another video in which I will try to give you an update on my life, my reading life specifically, but also just what I've been up to lately this past couple of weeks. I feel like I've been sort of absent in the whole BookTube sphere, and that's because, as you know, I'm very busy. I have a lot of work, I have a lot of things that I have to do for school, and by school I mean as a teacher and as a student of my training process, which is the process of becoming a psychoanalyst. Right now, I am in my 4th year in that training, so I guess I am working now towards getting my PhD. So that's exciting. And so what I'm reading at the moment for the psychoanalytical training is this amazing book, which is The Psychoanalytical Process. This is by Donald Meltzer. He is one of the most highly regarded and one of my personal favorite psychoanalysts. He's actually American, which is strange because the United States and psychoanalysis are not in very friendly terms nowadays. However, there is a big current of very prominent and important psychoanalysts who have developed theory and practice from the United States, and this is by far one of the most important ones. So this book is it's very slim, but it's one of those books. First of all, it is very expensive and very hard to find because it's old. It's like a gem. It's like a treasure that you have to really work hard in order to find. So I got my copy. It was not cheap, but oh my god, this is one of the best things I've read in my whole training process. It's so exciting and so profound, and so abstract, and I feel like I understand why we are reading this on our 4th year in the training process, because if we had read this before, it wouldn't have made any sense. It's very it sounds very strange unless you have the foundation and the necessary clinical work in order to really understand what the hell he's talking about. So basically, he is trying to explain the psychoanalytical process, the patient working with the analyst or the therapist, sort of equivalent or as a parallel to the relationship between the mother and the child, and in terms of anxiety separation and some very complex psychic mechanisms such as projection, idealization, splitting, projective identification, etc. I could bore you all day with these terms. But yeah, so it's very interesting, and I am really enjoying reading this at this stage in my training because it makes sense. It probably wouldn't have made sense before, but now it does, and I can see that with my patients, how this, which sounds very abstract and very outlandish on the page, it totally makes sense. And reading this kind of text makes me very confident in my work as a young, flourishing psychoanalyst in training, and it makes me confirm what I have always thought, that psychoanalysis is not over, it's not dying. It might have died in the United States of America a little bit, sadly. It definitely would benefit a lot of people there, I think. But it's flourishing in many other areas in the world, like here and in some other places in Europe and in Latin America. But yeah, it confirms what I've always thought. Psychoanalysis is very much alive because we as humans are intrinsically in conflict, and psychoanalysis is the best tool that we have to work those things out. Much better than neuroscience, much better than psychiatry, Psychiatry and neuroscience are very helpful for some things, but not for everything. And sadly, in some cultures, such as the American culture, for example, and many others, there has been an over reliance and over dependency on chemicals and the brain and neuroscientifical medical explanations of mental illness, which are very important, but not for every case. It's very sad that in certain countries, people believe that if you have a mental illness, if you can really call it that, if you feel depressed, or if you feel alone, or if you feel empty, if you feel some kind of emotional conflict, then there has to be something wrong with your brain, and therefore you need to take some medicine. That is outrageous. Not everybody needs medication. Very few patients actually need medication. Anyway, I could go go off on a tangent forever, but I'm not going to. I just wanted to say that psychoanalysis is very much still the better tool that we have to explore the human mentality in a rich, profound way that will give long-term results. Now, as part of my training process, I am also continuing on reading Freud. We are reading The Interpretation of Dreams, which is quite an old text. It's from 1899, 1900. So it's interesting to read something that is so like a big classic of psychoanalysis. It's sort of the cornerstone, the touchstone, the apex of psychoanalysis. And it's interesting to read that now in 2019 because you can really see the parts of that book, of that text, that are dated, and the other parts that are very much essential and will never change. And that is the essential core of psychoanalysis, which is the unconscious, and how Freud devised a way for systematically exploring the unconscious. That's the only thing that Freud invented. He didn't invent anything else. He didn't invent the unconscious, God forbid. What Freud invented was a systematic method of with very clear rules that allowed for the exploration of the unconscious between therapist and patient. And that's what we are still doing today, even 120 years later, after Freud was thinking about these questions about the unconscious and repression and all that, and the infantile. We're still doing the same thing, we're just doing it differently, but we are essentially doing the same thing because the unconscious is universal. The unconscious does not change. It doesn't have to do with time or with society or culture. It has to do with the intrinsic relationship between parents and children. Anyway, as you can see, I am very passionate about psychoanalysis, and I thank God I'm a teacher because I can bother my students all day long if I want to about this, but not you, hopefully. So that's what I'm reading for school, as I said, for my training as a psychoanalyst in training. And then for pleasure, I am still reading The Amber Spyglass by Philip Pullman. I'm still stuck in the same place. I did not read a single page this past week. You know what? I don't really care at this point. I'm gonna let my reading go at the pace that it wants to and that it needs to. I was very sort of anxious and panicky because The Secret Commonwealth, which is book number 2 in the Book of Dust, was coming out this week. It actually came out yesterday or the day before that, and I really wanted to read the book as soon as it got released, but now I just have to be realistic, and adjust my expectations and my over enthusiastic urges to read everything. And I'm just gonna read this at the pace that I can. It probably will take me like, I don't know, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. I don't know. And then I still want to read La Belle Sauvage, which is book 1 in the Book of Dust, and then I will get to The Secret Commonwealth finally. And so yeah, it's taking forever, but you know what, I've been doing some other things with my free time. I've been watching movies. I saw the Goldfinch movie, which was fairly good. I really liked it. I saw a French movie that was amazing. It's called Savage, Sauvage, which is a very harsh look into a male prostitute in France with a borderline personality disorder. Really interesting. What else did I see? Well, I saw Joker yesterday, and I liked it pretty good because from a psychoanalytical standpoint, it's fairly interesting, you know, in terms of the genesis of schizophrenia. I've been watching a lot of Amazon Prime Video because I finally subscribed, and I've been watching the best TV show since Gilmore Girls, and that is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is by the same person who wrote and directed and made Gilmore Girls, so no wonder. So I've been watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, enjoying every second of it, and that's pretty much what I've been watching, I think. Anyway, it's my time to go, so I'm gonna go read, but in the meantime, I will leave you with a little song from one of my favorite musicals, West Side Story. The most beautiful sound I ever heard. Maria, 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 Maria. All the beautiful sounds of the world in a single word. Maria, 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 Maria. I just met a girl named Maria, and suddenly that name will never be the same to me. Maria, I just kissed a girl named Maria, and suddenly I found how wonderful a sound can be. Maria, say it loud and there's music playing. Say it soft and it's almost like praying. Maria, I'll never stop saying Maria, 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 Maria. Say it loud and there's music playing. Say it soft and it's almost like praying. Maria, I'll never stop saying Maria. The most beautiful sound I